Would have missed the pleasure of seeing so many good people, meeting some people I had known before, and an absolute delight to interact with so many of you whom I'm meeting for the first time. Truly honored. I'm glad I took that decision. Thank you, Vikrantji, for letting me know about this event. Shwetaji talked about my compliance and business development. My compliance experience relates to Reserve Bank of India, where I joined in 1978. And the business part is with American Express corporate banking and private banking since 1985 onwards. But what delights me today here is the fact that in 1991, when I went to the US, I was the corporate head and North America head for American Express to market India's liberalization program to attract businesses from the United States to India. Those of you who were young enough to know, 1991 was not the most golden era of Indian economy, politics, or what have you. We had no story to tell, literally and figuratively speaking. We may be thinking that we were great people, but others didn't think well of us. We are a pariah nation as a political element. We had no economy. Our economy was virtually bankrupt, with IMF assistance coming at a nick of the time. I've seen those things play out in front of my eyes, but today is not the moment to say that. But let me tell you something. In 1983, fast forward, go back, 1983, I was a young officer in Reserve Bank of India. In Bankers Club, we had invited a very famous Harvard-educated management consultant, management student, and he told something really rather profound. He said, we Indians need not go to Ivy League schools or Oxford and Cambridge to study management. What we need to do is to study our own texts of Mahabharata, Gita, and Ramayana. And that was a very deep statement which made an impact on me. Because, yeah, ghar ki murgi dal barabar. True, we don't pay attention to that. We get very much impacted, enamored, glamorized by things Western. You were talking about the human indexes of happiness and what have you. Let me share with you, as I also run Jaipur Dialogue shows, television shows, those of you who have seen me on that, along with Sanjay Dikshit, we are trying to change the Indic narrative. We are trying to change the India narrative. Because for a long time, until Sri Aurobindo brought back Vedas back to our narrative, we had lost it. Whether it was Macaulay or whatever, I believe in responsibility. So many of us talked about self-development and responsibility. I take it upon myself that we failed ourselves by letting our knowledge be submerged, destroyed, or made incognito. That's what is important for us. So, आज मुझे मैथिली शरण गुप्त जी की कविता याद आती है, which is permanently relevant. That's what happens. You try to find out, हम कौन थे, क्या हो गए और क्या होंगे अभी, आओ विचारे आज मिलकर ये समस्याएं सभी. This is the perennial question of learning. That's what is important. So the thing which is important is, for me, is in terms of policy perspective, I see there that there is so much of knowledge, wisdom, intelligence, intellect sitting here. What we have to take it to the next stage. What are we going to do with it? And my phrase which I use on my TV programs, invoking everybody, is knowing what we know, what are we going to do? Are we going to perpetually indulge in, which is our favorite pastime, as Niraj Chaudhary says, the argumentative Indian, are we going to spend our time in only vichar, vimarsh, vishleshan, vimochan and vikyan? Bhagavad Gita का जो मूल मंत्र था, कर्म, एक्शन, ड्यूटी, धर्म, वो कब करेंगे हम? उसका समय कब होगा हमारे लिए? तो आज वही हमारे लिए वही समस्या है. और मेरे विचार से मैं देख रहा हूँ कि यहाँ पे जिस तरह से यहाँ पे आप लोगों ने महाभारत, गीता की सारी चर्चाएं की हैं, श्लोकों का पाठ किया है, मेरा दिल अंग्रेजी का, हिंदी का वो है, अंग्रेजी में हम नेतरहाट में मजाक करते थे, गार्डन हो गया. So my prescription for in these 10 minutes, as it is there, we need to bring back Purusharth, Paramarth, back into our life. That education is very critical for the youth of this country. Bringing back Purusharth, Paramarth, and मैंने दो और लिखे थे उसके. Purusharth, Paramarth, Parakram and Prayojan. ये हमें करना है. अगर हम ये न करेंगे तो हमारी जो नई पीढ़ी है, demographic dividend must not become demographic burden. उसके लिए ये 5 पराक्रम, ये सारे को हमें इंट्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा. स्कूल करिकुलम से लेकर के आप और हम में भी, कॉर्पोरेट लीडर्स में भी. दूसरी चर्चा हुई थी, ये सारे के सारे जो हैं आपको महाभारत में मिलते हैं ये कहानियाँ, क्योंकि मैंने अध्ययन किया उसके बाद मैंने ज़्यादा ध्यान दिया महाभारत गीता के पाठ करने, समझने की कोशिश की. हम सब जानते हैं, आप लोगों ने भगवद गीता बहुत अच्छी तरह से पढ़ी है. सक्सेस फॉर्मूला is written in chapter 18. Do we need to be told about that? Management consultants practice that. Those 5 mool mantra of success is written in Bhagavad Gita. Why aren't we introducing it here? Think about it. We get enamored by the foreign indexes and Western indices. Those indices, we did a particular show on that do these indices reflect us? And we were very happy to know that the Western poll makers, they agreed that these polls and these studies are not taking into account your cultural milieu and your cultural aspects. It's a very decent program. Probably Google it and see it on YouTube, it's there. Mahabharata Gita again. Everything has a consequence. This was my takeaway from studying our own texts. There is no, have you noticed that? I felt it. I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. No character in Ramayana Mahabharata has been called bad. It is a reflection of the personality and an opportunity. Every character is who he is, but they all go through the consequences of their decisions and their choices. Whether it was Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, Karna, or whoever. They all go through the consequences of their action, inaction or no action. Think about it from that perspective. रामायण से मैंने जो शिक्षा ली, वो हमने पूरे के पूरे अपने जीवन में उसका अनुमोदन भी किया है. लक्ष्मण रेखा बनानी है. अपने संदर्भ में, अपने व्यवहार में, पति पत्नी के रिलेशनशिप में, बाप बेटे के रिलेशनशिप में, हर जगह हमें वो लक्ष्मण रेखा बनानी पड़ेगी. This far and no further. There is a point you can't go beyond. The moment we draw that line, trust me, I say this to you with experience, your relationship becomes very powerful, very strong, because then you end up respecting people. So this is another lesson which I learned from Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana, which is a mool granth that I have tried to study. Respect and acceptance of whoever we are and whatever one is. Somebody was talking, I don't exactly remember. Please tell me when I'm up. 1 minute up. ठीक है? Time up? All right.
50 seconds.
All right, 50 seconds. So the point which I'm trying to say, the success formula is already there. It is very important for us to implement them. So as we do look over the models, it will not matter, as I said to you earlier, knowledge, information, wisdom, and everything is good. But if I'm not doing anything about it, don't blame others. Take responsibility for that. And the last thing that I wanted to say to you is that this is part of a human experience you talked about. That's what life is all about, human experiences, respect and dignity. These are the lessons of life. We have to take this message forward. Nobody else will write our story unless we write our own story. Thank you very much for listening to me.